Hi folks, I'm Nathan with Two Guys and a Ride, and welcome to our ultimate guide video on the 2025 GMC Yukon. And this is the elevation trim level. Today, I'll be covering the driver's information and infotainment screens. I'll do a general overview, show you how to access information, and do a deep dive. Let's get started.
Today, we're working with our friends at Snell Motors in beautiful Mankato, Minnesota.
Okay, well, it is really nice to step into the all-new redesigned Yukon. And so we're going to start with the driver's dash. And they've really simplified things in terms of what you can manipulate in the driver's screen from the steering wheel. So basically, right now, you've got a dual gauge setup. So you got your miles per hour over on the left, you got your RPM on the right, and then you've got, driver's information stuff in the middle. Now at the bottom, you've got of course, your miles till empty, along with your gas gauge. And then just to the right of that, you've got your four-wheel drive, two-wheel drive indicator. You've got your transmission temperature, just to the right of the speedometer. And then you've got your odometer right below the middle screen, as well as your cruise control symbol. Okay, if I can click the cruise control off, you can see that disappear and come back on. And then over on the right side, you've got your oil temperature, and of course your RPM and your gear selector, and then you've got your engine temperature. The little car icon with the red X's shows you who's buckled and who isn't. Okay, so it shows that nobody in the back is buckled. Okay, now, there are a couple of ways that you can configure this. So what GMC has done is they've given you this view button that's right here, okay? And if you press it, it's going to go through 3 or 4 screens. Here, we'll see. So this is the dual gauge view. I'm going to press it once. Then you get this beautiful Google Maps page, and then you've got, of course, your driving information over on the left-hand side. All the basic stuff is there. And then you have this safety page here, so it shows your cruise control, it shows your gap setting, it'll show your lane keeping assist. And then you've got, over on the left, you've got all your basic speed and that kind of stuff, RPM gauge. And then you've got an audio page available on the right, as well as phone. Now, if I click it again, you're going to go to a single gauge. Now, the single gauge view gives you 2 windows on the left and right. The left is information that we can change, but only from the infotainment screen. And the box on the right is changeable from the steering wheel. Okay, now before I get to that, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to click this button again. And you can see we're back to our first view. All right, so the music button up here will work in any of the screens. So you press it and it's your sources. So then you're going to use this toggle switch to go down. And because this is Google built in, you have a couple of other extra things, okay? But you go to where you want to be, okay? Like Sirius XM, and then you press that button because that'll press in. Okay, so that's how you're going to select your sources. Now, if you want to change your favorites from your steering wheel, there is a button behind the minus shift lever that'll, if you feel behind the left side, you can go through your favorites. While we're speaking of radio controls, right behind the right side of the steering wheel, below the plus paddle wheel, you're going to have another switch that will raise or lower the volume of the stereo. Okay. Now, voice command button works in any screen. And the reason I'm saying this is because there are some things that don't work in certain views on the dashboard. Basically, that is what you can configure with the steering wheel. To do anything else on the driver's screen, you need to go over to the infotainment screen and you need to click on vehicle status. What you do is you go over here, you go to home, you go to vehicle status, and then you can do gauges or trip, and I'll show you. So you can take any of these gauges here. We'll take transmission fluid temperature and say add to driver display. And you notice it pops up right in the middle. You can also click remove from display. Okay, and all of these are the same thing. Okay. Now, I said you can do trip information, and you can. So if I go here and I say, well, I want, let's say, engine hours. Add to display, and there you go. Now, The thing is, you can't add them to any screen on the dashboard. So I'm going to switch views here to this beautiful, gorgeous map view, and you can't add anything. None of these will add to the screen at this point. Okay, it'll tell you to switch the view. If I go one more, and you can't add anything. None of these will add to the screen at this point. In this particular view, because you get the media, you get a little nicer picture. If I press on the music source, okay, and I go down there, now if I change favorites with the left side button, now you can see them in here, right? But if you're not in this particular view, or the single gauge view, you won't see that. So you won't see it in this view, and you won't see it in the map view. I'm going to switch views here. And then on the left, I've got another square. Now I can add it there. So if I go here and I say add to screen, okay, I'll remove that one. I'm gonna go up here, I'll do current trip, say add to driver display, and there we go. And you can do the same again for the gauges. That is how you change information on the driver's screen. All right, so next we're going to move over to the infotainment screen. All right, so the infotainment screen is a beautiful 16.8 inches, and it is massive. It is very, very nice. Now, with the home button pressed, you're going to get this screen, what you typically see with the apps. You do have a few more down here if you scroll down. And then you have this portion of the screen kind of right above the climate buttons. And these buttons stay there. This is quick access to setting the child safety locks, turning on-off blind zone steering assist, and adding universal remotes. It's gone from the mirror and is now here. Now, when you go through the process, which all you need to have is your clicker, and you can do it right from inside the vehicle, okay? Now, when you've added it, it actually shows up down here, which is really nice. Your home link buttons are easily accessible. This one is a settings button. It's the same thing. It just takes you straight to settings. All right, down below this, you've got climate control, and this part right here from this point on stays all the time. You do have a rotary volume control, but it doesn't mute, okay? Doesn't push. You actually have a power button on the left side of the screen that if you push it once, it mutes, and if you push and hold it, it shuts off the screen. Okay, it just gives you the time and date. You double tap and it all comes back. All right, now in this portion of the screen, okay, you can put apps in any order that you want. It's just a simple click and drag like it is on your phone. So if I'd say I want audio up here, I can do that. What you cannot do is say, for instance, take the Play Store and put it down here. So you can't add anything to this part. Down here, you have full access to your climate buttons. Now, the top row is a push, okay? You actually push right on the screen, so you can sync the temperatures, okay? You can do the airflow here and then select what you want, okay? Then you've got your 3-stage heated seat, but you can't change it from here. You got to go up here and change it. Then it does have just the back and the seat. And you've got the same thing over here. So these will pop up a menu for you. Now, over here you got AC on or off. You got recirculatory, and then you have the rear climate, because this is a tri-zone climate control with its own separate controls in the rear. So you can easily access the rear by going here, and then you've got the full screen that you can lock it so they can't change it. You can sync it with the front. You can turn to auto, change the temperature, decide where the fan's blowing, and the fan speed. Okay. If it's unlocked, like it is here, then the rear people can control it. You lock it and they can't. You want the passenger temperature. Well, you've got this button here, and you can click it, and it can come up here, and you can click the arrows, okay? You can't slide anything. However, you have a toggle switch below each of these bottom buttons, okay? So if I click it, it comes on. Now, can I touch it? Sure. But these buttons move. So temperature-wise, if you push it up, it climbs. If you push it down, it goes down. Okay, fan speed, same thing. You can increase it or decrease it right from here. Can I do it from touching it? Yeah, I can. Okay, but they've given you just the convenience of a physical button to do that with. So that's all of these. All right, so we're going to go back here. Now, there's a couple other things I want to show you on this screen before I dive right into the apps themselves. You've got a split screen view. So currently, it's set up for navigation, audio, and then a Google Assistant, phone, and then messages. You can change all of these. And what you do is you click on the pencil, and then you can decide, these are your choices. So I can say, well, I want audio on the top screen, and now I have audio. It's removed it from here. So now I go in here, and I click the pencil, and I can say, well, I want trip information. Okay, and then over here, I want trailering information, okay? Which I don't have one hooked up, but that would, if I was, I would want something there. I would probably actually still leave this as navigation, but that is really neat. If you notice on the smaller ones, you cannot put navigation in that window, okay? So that is how you're going to customize what shows up on your split window. Okay, you do have an automatic search button that pulls open right here. Okay, but the easiest thing is just to use voice command, and we'll get to that in just a minute here. Let's go back to the map. Okay, it is a beautiful screen. The resolution on it is phenomenal. It is really, really nice, and you'll see if you watch our POV video. I've got a couple shots of the map working like this, and also working full screen, which is my next button up here. So check that out. That is absolutely beautiful. Of course, you can put your fingers on here. You can pinch to zoom, and you should be able to rotate. Yep. And then, of course, you have your basic Google Maps search functions, okay? You can search for just gas, food, groceries, coffee shops, that kind of stuff. But I'm going to tell you what, and I'm going to show you this in a little bit. The easiest way to use Google Maps is with voice command. It is so easy and simple, and it's a very natural conversation. But if you're the kind of person that needs to type it, you can go through these icons. Now, you do have different views. You got north up, perspective. I think that's the 2. Yep, they only give you 2. But I like the perspective one. And then you've got a mute right there. If you want the navigation voice to be off, you can do that. You can have it alerts only. And then the third push is it's going to talk to you and tell you to turn. This is just your Google Assistant, but you don't need to push anything. You can just use your voice. This is all the settings. So, for instance, do you want traffic to show up in navigation? Your guidance audio, you can, there's another place just to set it. Route options. Do you want to avoid highways, tolls, and ferries? And if you click these, every time you program a route, it's going to avoid them. So just be aware of that. It stays there until you remove it. Do you want to use auto-downloaded maps or select your own for offline maps? This would be for areas where you don't have reception and it can't update the map. Let's see, Privacy Center. Okay, you can read through this, but this is where you can choose which vehicle data you share with Google. Okay, and that's it. I mean, it's just a couple of things. So, but I want to read through that. Okay, so I'm going to get back to this in a minute. I want to go back and show you one more button at the top, and this is your full screen media. And I love it how they allow you to shrink it up or to make it full screen. So that is your 4 shortcuts at the top. Can you take one off of here and put it down? Yes. Now that I've done that, I could say, I want camera to go up here. So the deal is you can have 4, but not anymore. Over here, of course, you've got, phone information, Wi-Fi information. The G stands for a driver's profile, and this is right now it's set up as a guest. This is any notifications the vehicle has sent you. You do for an oil change, your windshield wiper fluid is low, anything like that. Okay, and then the clock, if you click on it, will take you right away to setting the clock. That's the basics of the whole screen. It's how you drag things around, moves things around, where your home link buttons will show up, and so forth. Now, let's dive into the apps. And I want to start with media. Right? So right now, we're on Sirius XM. And the sources are up here. So, how do you change channels? Well, you can easily just go here and swipe through. It's such a beautiful screen. All right, we'll go here to classic vinyl. All right, now that's one way. You can also go over here to these three lines, and you can search by category right here. And this is all under music. You want to look for sports, go there. News, talk, artist stations. Okay, so you have categories up here, and then the actual groups down here. So you can just click on it. So I clicked on pop. Now everything pop shows up. All right. How do you set a favorite? You simply find something that you like, and if you have a blank one, you can click hold to set, and it's going to set it. Now, how do you control sound? Well, if you go up here to that gear wheel, here it is. You've got your equalizer, and it has a very, very nice 10-speaker Bose audio system. And I was listening to it while I was driving. It is very, very, very nice. Okay, you can adjust those. I wish you could drag them, but you can't. Fade and balance, that is a click drag. And all of these have a little circle at the top right that if you click, brings it back to normal. Okay, sound mode. Do you want it just all the speakers? Do you want it just at the driver? Do you want to use a center point? That's the best surround experience. Or do you want to shove everything to the rear because you're talking in the front? That's where you're going to make those. Bose Audio Pilot. What this is, it's the same thing we see on other cars. But basically, if you're driving faster, if you're driving like at highway speeds, there's more ambient noise in the vehicle, and it's going to raise the volume of the stereo. And if you're going slower and it's quieter, it'll lower it automatically. So it keeps the volume sounding the same in your ears. That is a nice feature. I leave mine on all the time. Now, the other important thing is this is where you manage radio favorites. Okay, so I added classic vinyl. So let's say I wanted to delete it. I just click the trash can. Let's say you want to reorder. I want 80s on 8 going first. I just go like that. So that is really super. And that is all under that icon. Now, SiriusXM does give you a profile that you can go ahead and sign into once you have your subscription paid for. And that just keeps track of stuff for you. Now, I want to show you that AM and FM look the same. So if I go to FM, you see tuning is going to be the same. I'm going to click on it. Instead of going to a picture, it's actually just going to let me click, go through the numbers. If I click here, I can slide. I can also make it a favorite by clicking on the star, or I can type in a number. No idea what I'm typing in, but there we go. Okay, now AM is going to look exactly the same and function exactly the same. And they all have that little gear wheel on top, so you want to manage radio favorites, there we go. And I love it that they put all the favorites together. So FM, AM, SiriusXM, all the favorites show up together so that when you're in a particular source or radio and you want to click on something but it's actually an FM station, it'll just change it to FM for you. So that's the basics of the radio. Okay, so let's go back here. And I want to jump into navigation. Of course, it says Google Maps. This is the beautiful Google Maps view, and I love this. It's so huge, the screen. I told you before that you could set all your stuff by voice command, like all your routes and stuff. So to use voice command, I could use the voice command button that's on the right side of the steering wheel, but I don't need to. All I need to do is just say, hey, Google, and then follow with command. And I don't need to pause. I don't need to stop. So normal conversation, I'm hungry, I'm looking for Dairy Queen. So I'll go like this. Hey, Google, find the closest Dairy Queen.
There's a Dairy Queen West, Treat and Cakes, 1 mile away. Want to navigate there?
Yes. The neat thing about that is it not only finds it, it asks you, you can respond vocally, yes, I want to go. And then it actually goes. A lot of cars in the previous years, it would take you up to the point where, do you want to go? Yes, but you would still have to reach over and click. I like it that you can just say yes, and it actually throws the route right on there for you. You also get your turn-by-turn directions in your driver screen now. So, that easy. Okay? Now, to cancel, all you have to do is say, hey, Google, cancel navigation.
Stopping navigation.
Okay, so you notice how I didn't need to pause at all. I just kept talking. So that is how the basics, the easiest way to run your navigation. Speaking of voice command, it will do several things. Hey, Google, raise the temperature to 71.
Sure, changing the temperature to 71 degrees.
And there you go. Hey, Google, increase the fan speed.
Okay, turning up the fan speed by 1.
So it's just very, very easy to talk to. It takes a little bit getting used to, I'll admit, but it's just natural conversation telling it to do things. You just have to be a little specific, like you can't just say adjust fan speed. It doesn't know if you want to go up or down. So you need to say increase or decrease, things like that. But fantastic voice command system and a fantastic Google Maps. I absolutely, absolutely love it. All right. Let's go back to the home screen. I want to talk about that vehicle status button again. I'm just going to show it to you briefly. You've already seen it once, but there is a maintenance button we didn't cover. Okay, so if I look at this, I get tire pressure. And can I add that? Yes. There's a lot of people may like adding that one in there. Brake pad life, oil life, engine air filter, and all of these are addable, or you can turn them off too. Okay, so that's the one button we didn't cover. Now, if I click on a wheel, you notice I get the individual tire pressure for that particular wheel. So it'll tell you brake pad life and tire pressure for each wheel. Now, on the front, you got 2 more, oil life and engine air filter life. So that's the one that we didn't cover earlier, but that's what it does. Okay, I'm going to go back here. Google Assistant is exactly that. It's not a setting for it. Okay, we'll talk about Android Auto, Apple CarPlay in a minute. You do have Amazon Alexa. You're going to have to sign in, though, with your account. Okay, you got the Google Play Store, which will have apps that are designed for your vehicle that you can download. So if you don't want to use them through Apple CarPlay or Android Auto, and let's say you want Pandora, well, you can download that from the Play Store and put it right on the screen. Okay, you do have a 5G hotspot here, and you got the information here to use that and to share that if you want. Okay, we've gone over maps. The climate button over here just pulls up the screen we saw a little bit earlier, but this is now for the rear. You can just change it to the front, and you can adjust everything that you need to. Okay, and they give you some redundant buttons right there. Okay. Auto Park Assist. Now, this vehicle will find an open space for you, parallel or perpendicular, but you, right now I'm parked, so it wants to know how I want to exit. So, in this particular case, I'm parked straight in, so it won't tell me how to back out. But if you're backed in, right, and you have an opening in front of you, you can click how would you like to exit your parking spot. It'll also locate a parking spot for you, and then it will run everything. It will do the steering wheel, the throttle, the brake, and the shifting. Okay, but as with anything, be ready and have your foot on the, right by the brake in case you need to take over. So it takes a little getting used to. It does get you really close to cars, like inches. So you really have to kind of know what you're doing and feel comfortable with it. Now, when I come back to settings, I'm going to go down here. I already showed you these controls. They're the same as these ones right here. You can, of course, look at podcasts if you want. Okay. And news. Now, let's hook up a phone. So I'm going to click on phone. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to hook up an Android phone. So on my Android phone, I am going to go to settings. And then I'm going to click on Bluetooth. And then I'm going to click on connections, and it's going to bring me to an area where I can click on Bluetooth. So there's Bluetooth. I'm going to go ahead and just click on the word Bluetooth. It is turned on. And now I've got a list of devices I can connect to. So now I'm going to go back over here and go manage phones, and I'm going to go add a phone. So right now I am looking for GMC 7891. So I need to refresh my screen, tell it to scan, and it should pop up. There it is. So on my phone, I'm going to click on it. Okay. Now it tells you, is that number the same as the one on my screen? It is. And the reason they do that, in case there's somebody else near the car, it might actually send it to them. You know, it usually gets it right, but just check. Okay, I'm hit pair on my phone. Okay, now, at this screen, if you click disable, it's going to still connect via Bluetooth, but it will be the traditional Bluetooth. So you can make phone calls from your phone, but if you want to say, you know, use Pandora or TuneIn Radio or any other media app, you're going to have to go to your phone and switch it so it switches in here. Now, can you, yeah, see, and it switched right now. It did that because I didn't click on it soon enough. Okay, so right now, it's connected just via Bluetooth. If I go, and I think I can just click there. Yep, and I'm going to click enable. Now I'm going to get Android Auto. So that's an important button to remember right there. I'm going to turn my phone off and set it down here in the beautiful wireless charger. And this is going to pull up. Now, I have absolutely no reception on the phone. So when Google Maps pulls up, you're not going to see an image. Media, you're not going to see an image. This is why. But this is where your Google Maps would show up. This is where your YouTube Music would show up. This is the split screen view. All of these apps down here are the most recently used apps on your phone. If I click the little dice in the corner, it's going to take me to a view where I love it that it's keeping Google Maps up there, but now I get my apps, okay? And if I had more apps, it would scroll up, okay? I would scroll up and I would see all the apps. If you're in Apple CarPlay, which by the way is the exact same process of setting up, so if you have an iPhone, you can use this, watch the video, use the same process. Okay, it'll just say, at the end, it'll say enable Apple CarPlay. The biggest difference is going to be that when it comes to this screen, on the Android, you're going to scroll up and down to see your apps, and on the Apple CarPlay, you're going to scroll left or right. These most recently used apps on Apple CarPlay will show up in the corner. Okay, now to get back to your split screen, you can go right here. We have another button here. Okay, that's notifications. Okay, that's kind of cool. I have that there. I haven't seen that one before. Okay, but that's how it's going to look. And I love the fact that it really uses the majority of your screen. And again, so an Android Auto advantage is you can use any navigation app. You can use Waze if you like that. You can use Apple Maps if you like that. But all those will show up in here. Okay, and it's it really is a nice size. It's not as nice as the full screen Google Map that it comes with, but it is still a very, very large screen for navigation. All right, so that is how you're going to set up a phone for Android Auto or Apple CarPlay and the basics of it. All right, let's go back to the home screen. Now, the cameras. Oh my goodness. In my opinion, GMC has the best camera systems, bar none. They have really put a lot of thought into this. So I'm just going to put it in reverse for a minute. Okay, so you get this, right? This is what automatically comes up. It doesn't take up the full screen, but it is a large picture. It's probably a little larger than you'd think from the camera's point of view. Would it be nice if it was a little bit larger? Yes, but I think you can actually make this full screen if I take that off. Yep. So now you've got a much bigger picture, right? The quality of the camera is good. Right? If I turn that back on, that's my bird's eye 360 view. You do have dynamic swivel guidelines, which I absolutely love. And if you decide you want the front camera, just click down here and it gives you the front camera. Okay. Now I'm in reverse, so it's still giving me the rear guidelines. But if I put it into drive, look now. Now I've got front swivel guidelines. Okay. And it's actually tracking the back tires as well as the front, which is just really neat. Okay. Now, I'm going to put it back into park for a minute, and you've got a handy-dandy camera button, which I put up here. So let's go back to that. Oops, I think I'm going to need to have it in, yep, I need to have it in driver reverse to activate this. All right. So right here, I've got a, I can get rid of those guidelines right there. So this is guidelines and also rear trailer camera. So if you have a trailer and you can look at the specifics, talk to the dealership, there are certain things you need to do to make this work. But here's a way to hook up a camera to a trailer in the back of it. And now, right now, it won't do it for me, but it would switch to that view if I had that hooked up. Okay, that's that button. Right now, it just takes off the dynamic swivel guidelines. Okay, you know this is front and rear. So if I take a look at this one, I can get a top-down view from the front. And you notice that I've now got like the width of my tires as well as the yellow guidelines. The yellow guidelines, by the way, are your rear tires. Okay, there's not additional front ones. Okay, and then if I click it again, I get the same thing in the back. Okay, and if I were to hit reverse and do that, now you notice I get the same thing in the rear. Okay. Now, if I go over here, I get a front left, front right view, rear left, rear right view. Okay. And then if you want a trailer view, you can put that in there. Of course, your hitch would come out right there. And these are fantastic for, if you've never used one, just having the trailer hitch view is so nice when you're backing up a trailer. But what a fantastic camera system. I mean, you can have an additional camera in the trailer that you can access from the screen. Okay. And in addition to that, it'll adapt the blind zone warning to extend around your trailer. So, I mean, this is what I mean. The GMC has really thought through this. It is just really, really neat. Now, okay, so let's talk now about settings, all right? Okay, so under settings, of course, you have connections, and this is Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, Wi-Fi networks. It gives you all of them right here, okay? If you never use Android Auto or Apple CarPlay, you can actually turn them off, and they will disappear from the screen. You do notice Android Auto is now highlighted, so I can just click on it and it'll go right to it. Okay. Under vehicle, you've got audio settings. We have already seen this. You do have a teen driver. I'm not going to go into that, but if you have a teen driver, basically you can geofence the car, which means you can on your phone get a notification if they leave a certain area that you have, geographic area that you have marked out. It'll keep the music limited to a certain volume. It'll force them to have all the safety systems turned on, etc. Okay, so worth looking into it if you got a teen driver that likes to hot rod. All right, rear seat reminder. That's just going to remind you to check the back seat when you get out. You can turn that off. Buckle to drive. All right, right now that's turned off, and that's where I would leave it. But off, you can go in reverse or drive and drive unbuckled. If you turn that on, you cannot move the vehicle. If you put it in reverse or drive and you're not buckled, it won't go anywhere. It'll just stay in park. Okay? You have Super Cruise lane change, and that is set to automatic. You can do the turn signal activation, so you just hit the turn signal and then it'll move you. Okay, automatic. It'll automatically change lanes if it senses you need to change, either automatically or on a turn signal activation. Okay, so that's where it's set. You have some choices. Climate and air quality. Here you can say, just have remote start, so you can have heated seats on startup, auto defog on startup. I would leave auto rear defog on as well. And then auto fan speed. So you have the auto setting on the climate system, but do you want the fan to be medium when you do that, low or high? Okay. These, by the way, will not turn on if it's warm enough outside. It's got a temperature sensor and figures out if it's by itself if it needs to turn it on or not. All right, down here, collision and detection systems. Oh my word. Okay. So I'm not going to go through every single one of these, but I will show you how the different types work. So you've got this kind, like the first 4 here. So they'll tell you what they are. Front pedestrian braking. I click on it and I get choices. I can turn it off, have the alert only, or alert and brake. And boy, I'd leave that on. Okay. You also, and these are all the same. Now here, adaptive cruise go notifier. These 3 that have the slide button right here can just be turned off right here or on, or you can go right here and click on it, and you got some basic changes that you can make. Okay, basically on off. So that's how they work. Right? You can either click and make a bunch of changes, or click on and off, or click and make a few changes. You can set the alert type. Right now it's set to the safety seat vibration, so the driver's seat will vibrate, which is an unusual feeling, so it does catch your attention. If you don't like that, you can switch it to just beeping at you. All right, but lots and lots of safety systems. Okay, comfort and convenience. All right, do you want the reverse tilt mirror? And then, how do you want it? Do you want driver and passenger mirrors to both tilt in reverse? Do you want just the drivers or just the passengers? Remote mirror folding. So if that's turned on, when you shut off your car, the mirrors will automatically fold. Otherwise, you're going to have to press the button and tell them to fold. Rain sensing wipers, on or off. Auto wipe and reverse gear, if you want that. I'd never leave that on, but it's there if you want it. You put a car in reverse, it'll automatically wipe. All right. Driver attention assist. It has a system built in that will focus on you. So it's the little black hump on the steering wheel. Looks like it's got a little bit of black glass on it. It's watching you, and if that's turned on, it's going to monitor whether you're watching the road, your hands are on the steering wheel. Maybe it's too sensitive, so I'm going to turn it to low sensitivity, and that works good for me. Or you can turn that off. All right. We'll go down here to lighting. So on exterior illumination, you can turn it off, animated, or static. Okay? So if it's animated, it turns on with a little bit of a sequence. Okay? As they go on or as they go off. And if it's static, it just comes on and goes off. All right. Power door locks. These you can say, well, I want the doors to auto lock. Okay? When I shift into park. Do I want all the doors to auto lock or just the drivers? Now, if you turn that off, you're going to have to, and the doors will remain unlocked until you lock them. Okay, delayed door lock. So what this does, in a nutshell, is, let's say you have a bunch of people, you're the driver, you open the car, you hit the lock button because you're done, but the vehicle won't actually lock until all the doors of the vehicle are closed. Okay, this is where you can set some things on your remote control. Okay, you want to be reminded that you left it in the vehicle. Key removed from vehicle alert. Let's see, remote window operation, remote start auto heated seats. So turn that on. Remote door unlock. You know, what is it unlock? Basically, you just click on it and you can read the menu and then make your choice there. But it's very easy. But a lot of little things you can set. And really, honestly, folks, it's a one-time setting. Okay? Now, the last one I'm going to talk about is seating position. So driver's seat entry memory and driver's seat exit memory, you can turn those on or off. They, through your driver's profile, will be linked to your key fob. So when you get in with your key fob and start the vehicle, your seat will automatically adjust to where you had it set. And you do that when you create the driver's profile. If person with key number 2 gets in, it's going to adjust it to where they like it. Okay, and then of course when you shut off the vehicle, the seat's going to move as far back as it can to allow you to get out easy. So that was all under vehicle. All right, this is, again, it's just an area for notifications from any of the apps that you have. Okay, so could be any of these. And this button here says you want to get messages from it. So if there's something wrong with it or something, it'll tell you. Date and time, I showed you, you can just go to the time, but this is where you're going to set it. Okay. The display itself, the mode up here. So this has to do with, if you're driving at night or daytime. If it's set in auto, it's automatically going to dim the driver screen and the infotainment screen, so it's not so bright. If you're driving at daylight, it's going to make it a little brighter so it's easier to see. That's auto. If you say light, okay, then everything is going to be lighter, brighter, okay? And if you're going to say it's dark, then everything's going to be a little darker. Now, driver display, you can have the turn-by-turn graphics that show up when you have a route program. You can turn that off. You can also turn off traffic sign recognition if you want. All right, sounds. And this is different from what we looked at earlier. So, boy, your vehicle chimes at you and talks to you all the time. This is where you can set those volumes. So, your navigation volume, okay, just click and drag if it's too loud, right? Voice assistant volume, phone volume, ringtone, okay, audio volume. Right now it's set down, okay? Maximum volume at startup. Okay, I don't like to have the radio on when I start a car. That's me personally. If I want it on, I'll turn it on. So I always set mine there. Some of you may like that, so you can adjust how loud the radio is the first time you start the car. All right? Okay, profiles and accounts. This is where you would create another profile right here. Accessibility. You can have captions turned off or on, okay, show captions, and then detects the default text size and the caption style, and those will show up in the apps. All right, assistant and voice. Digital assistant, I click on the gear wheel. I can choose a language for my assistant. If I don't want that, hey, Google to work, I can turn that off. Now I can say, hey, Google, and nothing happens. Now I have to use the voice command button. Turn that on and you can use the phrase. Do you want the assistant to suggest things while you're driving? Okay, and it's going to learn as you drive. So it's going to kind of learn your habits. So if you always stop at a particular ice cream store on the way home or a coffee shop, as you get closer, it's going to say, hey, would you like to stop at such and such a place? And then it will automatically program the route for you. Or if you listen to a certain radio station at a certain time, or you call a certain person at a certain time, it'll learn those things, and then it will make suggestions for you so you don't forget. You can turn that off there. So, under system here, okay, you got, you can change the language. You can change units. You can reset options so things go wrong. Okay, and that's about it right there. Okay, under updates, this does have over-the-air updates. And right now, you can decide, do you want to download updates in the background or download updates via Wi-Fi when available? So if you have the Wi-Fi package, which comes standard with the vehicle, but you only get it for so long and then it ends. If you have that package, it'll download everything while you're driving. Now, it's never going to install it until you're stopped. Okay? Or you can download updates via Wi-Fi when available. So you hook this to your home Wi-Fi, you park it, it'll connect and download it from there. So, that's it for the driver screen and the infotainment screen on the brand new redesigned 2025 GMC Yukon. And again, this is the elevation trim level. We hope this has been helpful. Thanks for watching.